Them G's don't play out, la la land is hot. Set up shop, sell them grams and clock. The news link for Los Angeles is la la land. Yeah. Now he say, she say, I'll get you shot. We just sell them things, evade the cops. Your best come deep, cause you can lose your life in la la land.
Royal blue Dodger hat match with the blue ring. Royal blue Chuck tees with big blue shoestrings. Not the hockey team, no, we the true kings. Infrared carbine, that's how we do things. Most of these niggas smoke la la, man. You can call this Los Scandalous a la la land. The home of Tookie, OJ, and O'Shea. Think it's for play out here, nigga, okay. The G is over all, y'all just like to hate. And we know Dayton's old, but we just like to skate. We stay flossing from Carson to Slauson. The grass is greener from here to Pasadena. It's Southern California, but it's still gonna rain.
Hey, yo, check it out. Welcome to the After Hours Show, the G-Lew Show. And as you already know, we got a special guest tonight. Real Neil Radio's own, the Baymax Black Box boss. Spider Loco is here. Let me welcome the homie. He is here. Baby Spider, what it do?
It's the deal, G-Lew.
Hold up. Okay. Let me see. Hold on 1 second, bro.
It's a thin line between a love and a lust. She'll never have young cuz in a cuss.
All right, there we go. There we go. My boy is here. Baby Spider is here. Baby Spider is here.
It's the deal.
Hold on. Let me give him a round of applause. What up, Lo?
It's the deal, G-Lew.
Hey, he is live. Are you live in the black box, man?
Yeah, man. After hours.
That part.
Real near.
That part, man. Hey, man, it's long overdue. Like people looking, you know, we've done this before, but just on the like radio type tip. But this is the first of its kind on the YouTube tip. You know what I mean? It's like long overdue. You know, I was just waiting on my boy for when he was ready, and he was ready tonight, man. So it's going down, man. I got my homeboy Spider Loke, man, the most easty from the black box. He is here.
Yeah.
Man, it's a beautiful thing, man. Hey, thank you, homie, though, first and foremost for doing this for me, bro, and coming on here, man. It's much appreciated.
Easy
homie.
call. You already know how we get down, man.
For sure. Yep. Let me see. Everyone in the comments, what up? Spider Loke is here. Hey, first and foremost, Spider, man, tell me, man, because we got a lot to talk about, but just I want to bring them all the way up to date right now. Tell us about this black box that you're in right now, man. Did you ever, because like I know your whole background, you know everything. Did you think you ever think you would be hosting the black box and doing it to the level you're doing it at, what you're doing right now with everything?
I mean, if we're going way, way back, definitely not. But there, as the black box began to develop, before I actually ever started it, I did have a somewhat of a vision of doing something. I can't say I actually saw the black box and the format, but I did have a vision of something of that nature, or a desire or a passion. So it was something that was, I don't want to sound too spiritual and act like it was a manifestation thing directly, but right. I did feel my energy going toward that way. So it wasn't like a big surprise, but it was a gradual process that I appreciated as it developed, though.
Right. And I'm glad. Like, I don't usually write shit down, you know, but I wrote a few things down because I just don't want to forget. But while I'm talking about this right now and talking about the black box and all that, what up, everyone? Hey, thanks to homie OG Steve. I wanted to ask you though, like I just spoke on you getting to this place where you hosting a black box. Like, I remember it was a time, man, people don't know when like Spider was like real anti with this internet. I mean, he always did his own thing, speaking to your fans, but like interviews and shit, like Spider, you would be like, you know, none of that. You know, don't ask me about such and such, don't do none of, like, niggas used to be like damn near, you know, nervous to interview from what I hear, like how they were interview you, because you just wasn't having none of that shit early on what got you to the point now where you open up and talk about shit?
Well, I'm a lot more far removed from a lot of the more controversial subjects that may come up, and just being someone that was always in the past heavily affiliated with a lot of things that if I speak on them, it affects more than me.
Right.
And I tried to be real careful, and I still attempt to be very careful when I speak about things that affect people that are affiliated with myself. I try to steer away from them subjects. However, the kind of the format of the black boxes started off with me speaking about experiences, and I wasn't speaking to interviewers.
Right.
Interviewers, oh, it's often seem as if their interest is far beyond you personally. When I began going live on a consistent basis, I had a very small audience, and it just felt like a real private, personal experience. And the, for me to be candid, it was real natural. Just different time. Um, yeah, interviews sometimes you run into an individual who's a lot less personally invested in you,
Right.
and they're doing it for the publication, the platform, and you sometimes you can run into a different energy too.
Right. I agree because really a lot of those interviews like early on would be people like and they would be asking you crazy, off the wall correct like weird shit and then make you uncomfortable, you know what I mean? And it throws the whole shit off. So I could appreciate even I guess now when you have more people out there on the internet or people who have shows or whatever they do, they're a little bit more professional and more invested in what they want to ask you in the background and all that. So it ain't just, just anybody doing interviews anymore, I guess, as well, right?
Right. And even in the black box on that subject, that's how I got out of the habit of just reading questions in live time and answering them. Because, like you say, you can get caught up in having conversations you necessarily didn't really intend to have publicly,
Right.
just trying to be casual with the audience. So, I even in the black box have developed a system where I feel like it's a little more appropriate where people could submit their questions to my DM on IG. And then I get a little more of a chance to kind of go through them and pick subject matter that's a little bit more um, appropriate for what we do as the Google gang, and instead of getting caught off guard and committing myself to that candid moment. And I'm more of a chess thinker than a checkers thinker anyway. So I would prefer to have more pre-thought, but I still, to keep that organic feel, I try to do as little research on the subjects, the headlines that catch my eye, so I
Right.
can still give you the energy of this is off the cuff. Because I might see a headline, oh, that's interesting. Somebody send me that. I'm gonna tap into that. So when we go live, I'm gonna read the story typically for the first time with the viewers. So it's almost like I'm reading the question live, but it's a question I got a chance to pre-screen.
Right. Right. Who would you credit if any like the progression of the black, cause like you said you started how you started, did you have any ideas, did anyone, did you get with anyone like to really, because it seemed like you really had a vision. And I know it grows because I seen you from the beginning with it, you know what I mean, it's grown over time, but you never seem to stop with the ideas and different things you try to do and add, but still keep your same formula and what how you get on with it.
Well, to be honest with you, one of my more current themes in life in recent years has been to reach in rather than reach out.
Right.
So a lot of what I've developed is totally me. However, a few people on an inspirational level were very key in helping me to get going and to stay steady in my path, no matter because me becoming monetized was like a issue that the typical person that attempts to monetize doesn't run into based on some old content I had on my channel. And the process of YouTube, when they deny you, they're never specific as to why. They give you like a general blanket idea of what could possibly be the problem, and they tell you to go ahead and try to figure it out before you can apply again. And I had
Right.
went through this for like a year and kept getting turned down. So I was like thinking it wasn't that realistic for me to get it, and I was going to give up on it. And I remember YouTube just involuntarily, without I didn't have any choice. They just removed I had the full episode of Wheel of Fortune up on my channel. And then one day out the blue, they just removed it and gave me and something told me to apply now. And then I applied and I became monetized. So that was a struggle
That's you
that
think that was that Wheel of Fortune that knocked you off like that?
it wasn't no thank, because
Okay.
I applied multiple times. They turned me down, tell me to get my channel clean. I would knock down all kind of videos, reapply. They still would turn me down. I would go through there, try to take down all kind of videos. I couldn't imagine what to take down. They would keep denying me. I'm telling you, they grace period that they make you wait until you can apply again, it had been passed. And I just was
Right.
like, fuck it. I'm give up. I ain't finna try that shit no more. And then, like I say, one day out the blue, they just took my Wheel of Fortune episode down. And that just told me to try again. And when I tried, bam, they monetized it. But to actually embark upon the format that we embarked upon, I come from a background of being an orator, and all those that had a part in my upbringing always saw me as being a person that spoke to the public as my calling. And
Right.
the fact that I was raised in such a religious arena, it was always trying to be boxed and shaped as a preacher. And in my younger years, I have actually participated in standing in a pulpit and delivering messages. So that was something that was always in my spirit or my character or in my makeup. However, I've never been actually comfortable with the lifestyle of a pastor. As I became an adult, I never really could set totally into the doctrine. So my views on life changed, and that's not a path I took. But however, I had got to a point in my life a few years ago, I was going through some things, and I had really became isolated in my just experience in my journey. But one person I used to speak to on a real regular basis was Eastside Herb. Shout out
Right.
to Eastside Herb,
Shout
my
out to
nigga
her,
Chili.
man.
Yeah. And often I would be spending time on the phone with him talking, breaking bread, chopping it up. And we would engage in conversations where either him or myself would be like, damn, you hear what you just said? That shit deep, man. And it would cause us to reflect on the idea that, damn, if people could hear that, that'd be powerful. I wonder how I could get myself in a position to start saying some of this shit to people. And I remember once we got going and started doing the live and what it turned into, now Eastside Herb and myself, we often reflect on like, damn, the computer was right there the whole time. It was like we didn't the phone. We
Right.
started going live on the phone, but I had a desire to channel some of my thoughts and messages on certain ideas and share them with the masses. And I didn't quite know how or where I can do that. And now I shared my past as a speaker in the time I've even spent attempting to be a preacher. I
Right.
shared that to say now I feel like I found my pulpit.
Right.
I'm not speaking an indoctrinated message. I believe I'm to some degree from a lineage of prophets, not in a necessarily mystic way, but I believe that my voice is of a prophetic culture. And I often have struggled with the idea of preachers or myself being a preacher first, and then the whole idea of preachers, because I believe our people as melanated individuals and our whole journey, our history being stripped from us. I'm not an expert on the whole overall, all the details, but I believe that amongst our people are a culture of prophets that uprise from time to time. I can go through names and names to pinpoint the fact that this may be true. And as I
Right.
began to reflect on that idea, and I reflect on the system of how in religion or theology, in order to become a preacher, you have to first be indoctrinated by some type of denomination. Learn what they want you to learn. First of all, this is even if you grow up in a community where everybody looks at you before you study and said, hey, he's spiritual, he's a prophet, God has chosen him, it's a calling on his life. Everybody agrees that. But so if that's the case, I don't understand why we don't leave those type of people to receive a direct message from God. This is a We see something. But instead, guess what they do? They take you and feed you their doctrine, shit that's been taught for thousands of years. And then you got churches up all on every corner where all the prophets amongst us are fed the message. So therefore, they don't have no room to receive a prophetic message because they're feeding the message that they was taught by other people. So I feel like I went through a journey of disconnecting myself from all that, never denying my prophetic position as a human being. But now I'm open to get a message from somewhere I can't actually define or describe because I'm not looking. Go ahead.
No, I just want to cut in quick because I did notice, like, with you having so much of a background, like you said, in the church, or however you came up and was almost a preacher, or temporarily was, right? So going so hard, I noticed lately, like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like you not only strayed away from that, but almost kind of go against some of the stuff. Like when I hear you saying some of the stuff now. So when did that come? What made you, not only stray away, but now kind of go against it as well? When your whole life you did that. You feel me?
Well, I struggle with the idea of me not really being able to rest in it. I felt like I was a backslider, hypocrite, things of that nature, because this is the way you were taught. But
Right.
I know for a fact the actually being a part of that culture was not sitting in my soul. It just didn't work. And I had a lot of guilt associated with that. However, prophetically, I came upon the realization, check me out. Moses, the biblical Moses, was raised in Egypt as an Egyptian, taught all their finest things to be taught. This was a path for his life that was ordained by God. He was put in a basket. God sent him into Egypt to be raised as an Egyptian amongst the Egyptians, to then as a man come back and declare, let my people go. So as I've been trying to figure out how can I be as honest and open as I am, and what I know what I went through when I tried to be a preacher, when I tried to dedicate my life to this religious shit, and nobody knows how honest I was with God with my effort, how much I turned my back on the rest of the regular shit and thought I was going to walk off into this spiritual bliss journey. It didn't happen. So then I was left with years of feeling like I don't feel guilty, and I just couldn't really quite describe why I don't feel guilty. And then the creator, the universe, opened up the message of what Moses went through. So I feel like in that sense, my experience is a Moses type experience. I was raised amongst the Egyptians, taught well. Moses was able to teach what the Egyptians taught better than the majority outside of his mouthpiece. That's why he had to take his brother with him. His mouthpiece wasn't one, but he was an expert in all their disciplines. But it was not for him to become a leader amongst them and upholding those disciplines. It was so he could be effective in leading the Exodus. And I think part of my message, my resurgence to the public, when I do discuss religious issues, is let my people go. Because I also realized I was born to a single mother. She worked 30 years on her job and retired the way, the American system was designed.
Right.
However, from my young age, around 8 or 9, she got baptized and she became a Christian. And she put me through private school. Not only did she put me through private school, my nigga, she paid her tithe every week plus gave offerings. But for some odd reason, my mother felt convicted to not pay 10%. She dedicated her life to pay 20% of her tithe.
Wow.
She had one child. She worked on a job for 30 years. So now my mind outside of this religion that I'm telling my people, let my people go, the way Moses yelled to Pharaoh. Think about this. You got one child, and I'm the child. So not only did she attempt to shelter all the gifts that I utilized to become a public figure, she sheltered them and tried to hide them because they were evil. She wasn't a parent like you or I who would see the gifts that she saw that in our child and try to utilize whatever we could to help them realize the potential. She didn't do that. And not only did she do that, just think what you and I would do if we had the discipline to put 20% of our earnings somewhere other than our bank account or our pocket for 30 years. Your only child will be how prepared to enter the world. Let my people go.
Wow. That's powerful.
How many other similar scenarios? We know in this society the most crucial element to observe, obtain, and maintain has been finances. How many future generations have been derailed by having a seed to jump off of because their savings was given as tithe and offerings to an organization, not to God, this personal God you've met that you love so much. You've given it to an organization, and you really have no idea how it was actually dispersed. So that's my thoughts on my journey with me being in front of people and being honest. I don't even just think about this, bro. To even try to stick to what we consider a calling as a preacher,
right?
You got to promote a book. Once I became really aware of how the actual Bible was compiled, a lot of the magnificent supernatural that they tried to attach to it, it just went away for me.
I was going to ask you how did moms feel when she felt when she knows you felt this way now? I'm sure mom's still deep in it, right?
She's extremely deep in it. We go through a whole lot of exchanges, but what I can say, a long time ago, I ran across a meme, and this helped me kind of sum up my experience with my mother. I ran across a meme, and it was in black and white. It wasn't even a color picture, and it showed an old black couple, like they was out on a farm somewhere, like they worked the field type couple, and they were older. And the meme read, "These are the only people I refuse to debate with about religion." And I say that to say this. I realize some people have held on to that thing so long and got to a certain point in their journey. The truth and the realization that I have come upon is more of a detriment to them than it is a good news. So when I began to share some of my my newfound energy spiritually with my mother, she initially would try to debate with the indoctrination. Just think, she got baptized at a revival and then dedicated her life to the Lord and sent me to private school to become an expert in the biblical subjects that she had a very casual understanding of.
Right.
So I was able to learn them from youth and get them embedded in my head. And now here it is, 30 years later, she tries to debate me on the issues. I can debate what she's trying to say 10 times better than her. So I will get to a process where after I shut that down and force her to listen to me, I would see the light come on in her head. But I will also see the immense fear. And we've gotten to a mutual point to where she don't preach to me, I don't preach to her. You feel me?
Hey, let me ask you this. It's like it's crazy just hearing you say all that and how deep you went in it. Like, did you ever, like you said, once you didn't want to be the preacher thing and all that, you know, we know everything that you've done though has somewhat related to not only preaching but speaking your truth. When you started rapping, homie. Now when you're doing your stuff, or when you before the Black Box, you know, you would get on there and that's what the people love when you tell these stories and all that. You know, so your whole life has really been somewhat pertained to that. Do you ever still question, like, okay, so what was it for real, or what am I really supposed to do? Because it seems like you go beyond all of these things, or all of them things really don't appreciate you, or you don't appreciate them the way they should. You know what I mean? Just far as from the rap, you know, you was the coldest nigga, but you know all the shit you went through. You know what I mean? So, how do you question yourself, like where it's supposed to be at or where it's going?
Like I say, I believe let my people go is a large portion of it. So outside of that, I don't try to fake in front like I got it figured out beyond the level I actually do. I hear people talk about purpose in life, meaning in life, and finding your purpose and all that. I just I really live more by the moment than anything, because once you realize, once you feel like you're an expert on what it's all about, and that's how I was raised from a young age, thinking I had it figured out through the Bible. I thought I had it all figured out. And then once you first come to the point to realize this is not quite what I thought it was. And now you, first of all, you have the courage to first understand and realize that there's a void, and it's natural to want to fill it with something else to replace it. However, I have yet to find that to replace it. I cannot explain beyond what I've set aside, even though this was a set of explanations that could take me all the way to the afterlife. And I had it all figured out. What, no matter what happened in this life, I knew what was going to happen when you die and when it's over with. I no longer believe that. I can't tell you what I have to put in that place. I think it's caused this journey of life to have a little more meaning, a little more purpose, because now there's an interest, there's a wonder. I used to be told that the dead, the living know that they shall die, but the dead know not nothing. And I believe God said that, not the men that wrote the Bible. Now I hope and pray and wish with all my soul and being that Neighborhood Nip got to have some type of realization of what the world did after he died. I don't want to be robbed from the hope that that might be true because somebody else told me it's impossible for it to be true.
Right.
I think without that being indoctrinated in my brain, my natural understanding of things will automatically have a suspicion or a hope that that was possible. But they killed that. In my brain, there was no way possible in this vast universe that Neighborhood Nip could, or Tupac could be consciously aware in any. I thought that was just impossible. Now I'm not quite sure. I realize that us as humanity, as far as the humans that we can refer to, I've heard of hidden knowledge, stolen knowledge. That may be the case. But the knowledge that we're privy to, nobody knows what happens when we die.
Right.
It's a mystery. It's a mystery. But in the times when I told you I was comfortable getting up in front of the pulpit, I would get up in front of that pulpit and swear on my life that when you die, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da is what's going to happen. And that's not the truth. I can't say that's the truth. Even if it is the truth, I don't know it's the truth. Right now, you can say, I got 5,000 in my pocket. That could be true. I can't verify that. I can't go now and put my name on it. My nigga G-Lew got 5 bands. I don't know that. How can I sit up here and preach to people about what's going to happen after we die? How can I really do that? I don't know. And there's so many things I don't know. And realizing that gives me more peace to realize that whatever this magnificent thing is that is in motion, I'm going to be okay. Sometimes I think we personalize our experience in this thing called Earth a little too much.
Right.
Just think about this. If one of your eyelashes thought it was the body, or your body was all about the one eyelash. Now, your eyelash is just as much as your body as anything else, meaning I can't come pluck your eyelash out against your will. That's yours. It's on your body. But however, when one eyelash gone, your body is still totally your body. And your eyelash's brain, your eyelash might think it's the flyest thing on the body. And sometimes that's how we relate to the earth. This earth has been here so far before we got here. It's more likely than not going to be here so long after we're gone. Our time is so small, but we feel like this whole shit is about us, you and me. So I figured now that I don't know the timetable of this whole thing like I thought, I don't think my responsibility is necessarily to figure out this purpose or plan I think my responsibility is to maintain a certain level of integrity each and every day, each moment. And I think the path will make itself when you stick to that. And you, instead of like having an experience where you can look forward and say, hey, this is where it's going, I think you stick to principles, and then you have the experience to be able to look back and say, damn, look where we went through, look where we came, and look where we are.
Hey, that's a great segue because I was going to ask you that, and you just spoke on it. Like you said, you would choose to stick to integrity in a certain script, and that's kind of been like the script to your whole journey. You know what I mean? Because the obstacles you faced been mainly because you stood on yours. You know what I mean, and kept your integrity, right? And sometimes that did not work in your favor. Like, but you still chose to do that. Like, where does that come from, and where, like, what made you, like, I'm sure you knew it was times you were going against the grain, against the wall, and everything you did, like from big moves you made to even getting with Death Row and having the nerve to even tell Suge you don't want to be down with Death Row no more. You know what I mean? So keeping your whole integrity through your whole journey, which I'm sure has caused a lot of roadblocks and a lot of bullshit you've been through with this industry, but you still didn't give a F. You feel me? And still on yours the whole way. Like, where does that come from, man? And what and how were you able to do that, man, and still be standing like today, standing on it? You know what I mean?
Well, shout out Big Tommy, my daddy. My daddy,
Big Tommy.
big old, strong,
Damn.
corn-fed, stubborn, non-follower.
You answering my question because I was going to ask you about Big Tommy, but go ahead, bro. He got to be a G to raise all y'all, you and your brothers, man. But go ahead, bro.
But the spirit of against the grain, as much as of a G he was, don't give a fuck, know how to throw him, all that. He was such a non-follower. He never could rationalize or understand the concept of a gang. He was always, I don't need no motherfucking group. No, y'all niggas got to run with a gang. So even with my desire and passion to participate in the gang activity, there was still Big Tommy in me to, like, even when I get to those environments, it's still the non-follower. And I also have this sense of purpose in my soul. Like, I don't know when it was, when I was young, I made up in my mind, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
Right.
To the sense of, like, you disrespect me, I couldn't put my hands on you. If I told one nigga, man, when I see that nigga, I'm going to fuck him up. Bro, a lot of time could pass. I could not be mad no more. I could see you shake your hand and forgot about it. And then be like, oh yeah, just because I told one person I was going to do what I said, I gotta get it. I gotta do it. So that was a sense of purpose that's been in me that I utilized to make sure I stay 10 toes down. Shout out Nina Boy out on this blacktop. That was part of my defense mechanism when I jumped off the porch. Like, it was just part of the firmness that I established in myself as an individual.
Right.
Then, when you get my introduction to the mainstream was Suge Knight. So, before I ever met Suge Knight, it was a common street talk, trivia talk. Would you sign to Suge Knight? Now, I'm knowing the general perception is the answer is supposed to be, hell no, I ain't finna fuck with that nigga. But I used to automatically against the grain say, hell yeah. Knowing to the public perception that was a bad idea.
Right.
So when I started fucking with Suge, I'm in the industry, all the weird shit, plus this Suge Knight. So just think about how, first of all the shit that we heard about, thought about, think of that, I'm finna come with an energy to make sure, nigga, you never even get an idea that it's finna be any of that. And then It's not that I had to go for my character to be there. I just went to a certain portion of my character and sat in that. And if you're thinking about the industry, if that was appropriate for Suge, we can just rest right here. If he ain't finna play with you, who gonna play with you? So we just stay like that. And a lot of times when you can meet a man character-wise on his level, and you're not quite on his level, business, financial, industry-wise, it can cause a problem if that man's confidence is not in total tact.
Right.
Because now they start viewing you in the position that they're trying to put you in, where the finances is better, and they already see that there's no in you. It's like some men are intimidated by that.
So what did you see there? What did you see there that you just had to say like, okay, because I mean, still most cats would still say, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm better to stay here than just to leave. And then you didn't have another situation at the time when you left. Like, what was it that just made you say, look,
at the road, more than a specific memory of an incident or two, I can remember a feeling of, it was a time where, as good of an idea it seemed, I had spent like 2 years around him, and I had come to the realization that, you see how he never ended up getting it cracking, right?
Right.
It took me about 2 years to realize that was going to be the case. So I had just kind of like realized that he had a lot of situations on the table that was finna pop. And none of that shit was just one by one. It wasn't happening.
Right.
And I started realizing that it was being more of a detriment to be associated with him than it was a plus. And it was almost like this. Hey, you dope. I heard that. Come on in here. And before you get to the entrance, they become aware that you fucking with him. And now the invite was closed.
Right.
And that's just a hypothetical idea of how it was going, the energy was. So that's what caused me to have to drum up the courage to ask him to part ways, because it was nothing negative between he and I. It just wasn't doing me no good to be over there. It was like a dead end road.
Right. But this is
you see it still hasn't progressed.
Yeah,
it hasn't progressed since the point I asked to leave.
Right. And he had some shit too. Crooked Eye was supposed to pop, but big
billboards.
Yeah. But what did you have? Because this is before G Unit still. So did you have another plan at that time, or were you just gonna just leave and get it cracking, or were you thinking about still doing music, or what?
I still had the belief that, but that was the part of the struggle. Before I made up my mind to tell him I want to be off on the website, that was the struggle. That was the fear. Like, damn, this is the biggest shit you could imagine being affiliated with. I didn't have no production company, no management team, nobody. It was just me. So I'm like, damn, what this? And then I just finally had to find the courage to, like, I have a thing that where throughout my life, the creator has been put me in positions to where I'm looking toward or relying on a human, and the creator got to tell me or show me it's going to be me or nothing. Anytime I've gotten to the point where I've looked toward, anticipated, or receive assistance from and appreciated the human too much, it seems like the creator will separate that bit of success and allow me to focus on the fact that it ain't never that motherfucker. Wow. So I had that conversation with my spirit that you scared to let go and you don't trust the same energy that guided you there. Follow that energy. That was your integrity, your principles, your spirit, your desires, the things you really believed in. That's the energy that got you there. So don't abandon it now. So I had to have that. I went through that same experience at one point with Top Dog, in the sense that after K-Dot became Kendrick and blew up real big, Top Dog was a very personal friend of mine for years, even before meeting Suge.
Right.
So once the success started becoming in immense quantities, I wisely fell back as far as not trying to be up too close on the mix or looking like I'm trying to be included or as if I'm making requests. I fell back multiple years before I finally started reaching out the top, not making requests or asking for nothing, but just tapping in, attempting to reignite a casual correspondence that has existed for decades.
Right.
So I recall going through this on multiple occasions. Uh, he would tell me, I'm gonna be in Carson on Tuesday. I'm gonna hit you up. And I can remember anticipating Tuesday after Tuesday after Tuesday. And he wouldn't not only not hit me up, but he wouldn't like hit me and say, oh, something came up. And me and him has never had a bad conversation or argument. Nothing. This is my nigga. So it got to a point where, once again, the creator told me, stop calling, delete his number out your phone. So I didn't do it the first time I had the thought. It was one of them struggles again. And I deleted the number. But then I was trying to be slick with myself, the creator and all. I knew way down at the bottom of my text thread, I had a text thread with him. So I just said, I'm going to just keep that just for that. And then I probably was able to hold on to that for about 3 more days. The creator was just smacking me in the back of the head. And I just had to force myself to delete the thread, the text message. Don't reach out. I reach within.
Right.
No hate on nothing. It's just the fact that reaching out has never been the prescription for me. And it's been a lesson that I've been learning over life. Even just know this. When I met Suge, my big homie aunt, rest in peace, called me and said, Suge want to meet you. Prior to that, when I met Wino, who did a lot of production for Coolio, who introduced me to a lot of my first independent work, somebody suggested the introduction. When I met Young Buck, my brother met him first and brought him to me. I've been further convinced that my commitment is to reach within, reaching out. I get disappointed by reaching out.
Right.
And once you learn to reach within and tap in with the communion that you're having with your creator within, then when the blessings come, there's no confusion on who you're grateful to, the creator.
I was gonna ask you, like you said, speaking on all these relationships you have, how important is it to have? Because it seems like early on and throughout, you know, you've had a lot of relationships with a lot of people. Some people don't even know. You feel me? But over the years, like you're speaking on certain people, shit changed. I don't know if it's with this industry shit or what. But how disappointed were you with this whole thing? Because it got to the point where, like, I know you didn't really fuck with anyone. You know what I mean? But you have had a lot of relationships.
Oh, well, you know, I'm my mother's only son. I'm not spent a lot of time, but I've been confined. I'm a loner, for one. There has been multiple disappointments in specific relationships at different times. I've never allowed them to affect my overall disposition or attitude, but I did allow myself to learn lessons about individuals, the industry, and the game. I was real naive to the game as far as when it comes to the industry. I was more a person that led with loyalty, and I trusted that would land me in a favorable position in the long run.
Right.
And it's a phrase that it's been established long before you and I, loyal to a fault. And I think in my experience, I've realized that phrase. I think in this industry, loyalty is one of the least usable tactics. It's dog-eat-dog world. And, you know, you could be loyal to the wrong energy, the wrong individual, the wrong situation. Put all your eggs in one basket. And then I also think this, back to the spiritual side. Although it was in the days when I was consciously praying in a traditional Christian sense to Jesus, to God, and I no longer do that, I think my innate spiritual insides is what has been honored, because I remember praying this too before. Lord, and this is when I was really calling myself battling between being a Christian preacher, streets, secular life, rap. And I told this, I said, look, God, if I can't go to heaven, I'm not even sure if I believe in heaven the way I used to. So I'm just letting you know how long ago this was. I'm like, if I can't make it to heaven and still experience this industry, you're going to have to block it because I don't know how to stop chasing it. And it got to a point in my career, you pretty familiar with me. This is not the first time I've said this. Years ago, I said this. I often, at times, was suspicious had I fell victim to that prayer.
Right.
Did God honor that prayer? There's a good friend of mine by the name of Bishop Stephen D. Lewis, who in my time being under the tutelage of a preacher, he was my mentor. And I remember before I met Suge as well, him calling me one day out the blue and say, hey, man, the Lord told me last night, man, you're going to make it. You're going to make it real big so you get it out your system and get back to what he needs you to do. So I don't know how on point that prophetic message was, but I think it was somewhere in the ballpark.
Let me ask you this too. Speaking on your whole background again, and it's so deep, bro. I could just hear when you talk, and it's coming out of you. You feel me? What your background was with that in the church and all that. How was you able to, or when did this come about? With like, or your whole life, were you able to balance all this? Like, because you could be what you are, and people know and see that the most articulate, religious, and good brother, but on the flip side, you the biggest fool too, though, and everybody knows. You feel me? How were you able to balance this shit, like, man, your whole life, bro?
Because everything that you could imagine that you would think that living a life of private school and being accepted in that circle as a good kid, and although I was amongst the most mischievous,
right,
in that environment as well. The thing is this: it's like just think about it. All right, wake up, get in the car, wake up. Your mama open a devotional book. She read a page, ask you what you get out of it. Tell her what you get out of it. Oh, that was good. She tell you what you get out of it. You have a prayer. She take you to the bus stop. You get on the bus. As soon as you get on the bus, everybody from everywhere on the bus. You go to school, go through the program. When you get off of school, everybody from everywhere on the bus. Then, on the weekend, go to my daddy's house. Ain't none of that going on. So, with just my natural skill set of being able to adapt to my environments, it's easy to be a kid and know it's the program over here when your mom and them looking. And when they back turn, we doing what we do.
Right.
And just the time that I spent attempting to take it serious as an adult was only like matter of months at a time. It's like if you really look back over my whole journey, it was no matter of time, but I just know how serious I was taking it. So I speak on it because even though it was a short part of the time in my overall journey, the amount of dedication and commitment I had to it was immense. So just imagine, I come home from prison. I got married over the phone on my way back to prison the second time. Before I come home, my wife cheated on me and all that. So I come home, and instead of like going straight to like, oh, fuck that bitch and back to the streets, I fell under go to church, get baptized together, tried to be a preacher. That shit didn't work. It lasted about 6-7 months. Now, but through that period of time, Curtis is 22. This is when Curtis was born. So during that period of time, though, just imagine, I'm coming to the hood in a suit and tie, inviting the homies to the church and to the Bible studies. Some of them coming. And then as I began to backslide or go back to whatever, 6-7 months later, Baby Spider right back on the block, and ain't nobody never asked no questions. They was like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so,
They was just waiting. It's like it was just a matter of time.
Yeah, and I sometimes I look at it like this: nobody know how pure and sincere I was with God. And sometimes I think the same way he sent Abraham up on the hill to kill his son, and right when he took the knife up, he supposed to tell him, no, you ain't got to do it. I was just testing you. I think I went into that preacher shit with no shame in front of the homies. And God said, okay, I see you really did it. You ain't really got to go through all that. But I see when I tapped you on the shoulder, you did that. And you didn't care who looked at you, what kind of way. And I think he released me from that because I don't feel no guilt or no desire to be that guy. Like,
Right.
so
Hey,
I think it was a similar, I think that was perhaps my Abraham experience.
right. And you mentioned like when you go to your daddy house and you got your brothers, and I'm sure it was good over there. But how was it for you growing up like in Compton, man, like away over there, and then being the only child, you know what I mean, and growing up around the area of Compton, homie?
I got my bike stole on that same tennis court that Beyonce just sang on for the Oscars.
And it's crazy. Remember, you was talking about you think she whoop, and that shit was true, bro. You was talking about that on your show the other day. Yeah.
And they showed my mama house on the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, they showed her house. And then, it's crazy. I swear to God, my nigga, how you seen me discuss how I seen it and just was thinking.
Right.
And how it turned out to be exactly that. I promise you, I had no idea. Remember,
that's crazy.
I was telling y'all, I wasn't even sure if that was a real
Right. You didn't know. Yeah. That's crazy.
Me and Winter was just on the slide and swings at that park yesterday.
Wow. Shout out to your grandbaby. Winter.
Yeah, my grandbaby. Yes, good looking.
Yeah. So
I ain't even on the YouTube.
Go ahead.
I want to go on YouTube so I can hit your super chat.
Oh,
I gotta
man.
grab my other phone.
They showing love, man.
I just seen it go up, but I can't see it from the Streamlab.
Right. Tell us briefly, since we on that, I wasn't even gonna go there, but tell us, man, just how fatherhood, man, shaped you or changed you in any way, or if it did it. But whether it did or not, I do know this, and I always like respect you for this, bro. You a great father, bro. That's one thing, I've seen your whole journey. You know what I mean? You there for your kids, bro. You always doing stuff and always there and got a close bond. So that's to be respected. And I know you probably get that. You were raised that way. Your mama and your daddy, they weren't together, but they were there. You know what I mean? So
bro,
I'm sure it's in you. But you're a great father, bro. Speak about this fatherhood, man.
Thank you. Well,
now grandfatherhood.
Man, I want you start everything you said is basically what I was about. How I can answer it. First of all, fatherhood. I know it might sound cliche. It's done way more for me than throughout fatherhood I've been able to do for my children, and grandfatherhood. But without patting myself on the back and trying to get all deep, like I'm got this hell of a wise philosophy on parenting, my initial energy with parenting was trying to reciprocate the way my parents loved me. And that's what now I've kind of like, of course, developed my own unique approach and style. But my initial commitment to parenting was I can't love my children no less than my parents love me. And this is another thing that was innately just inbred in me. I don't know where I got this from. It's impossible for me to be mad at somebody for doing something that I did at that age. And I think parenting is fucked up in the sense that I watch niggas I know ain't shit. They little kids and they get on them in a way like, nigga, you ain't even that type of nigga. Right. Like, how can you be mad at somebody for fucking up the same exact way we fuck up? And guess what? A lot of times your initial reaction to certain information is anger. So don't get me wrong. I'll go through the cycle. But what I have committed myself to doing is trying to always, when anger comes up and associate with my kids, I try to eliminate it immediately. And then I try to deal with whatever the scenario is with the very next emotion that comes up, whether it's concern, sadness, disappointment. The anger is usually on top of one of those. So anger is very counterproductive for me when it comes to communicating with the people I love the most. Because anger is a tool of dissension. So it's an emotion and it's natural, but I think it's the emotion that we as humans should have to call on the least. And I think we utilize it far too often. So with my children, I practice not allowing anger to control our communication, no matter how disappointed I am in their actions. And I've experienced a brilliant experience of communicating with my children in that way. And this is just, it just doesn't seem fair. It seems hypocritical. That's like me doing some buster shit and then trying to press on another next nigga for doing some buster shit. Like, that's like being a rat and you politicking on another rat.
Right.
At 9 years old, I was at school, got in trouble for squeezing booty. If I didn't tell my son this, they've never gotten in trouble for that. But if my son come home at 9 years old for squeezing booty, I can't be mad. We're going to have to figure out how you're going to learn your lesson about this being the wrong thing to do. But I don't have a right to be mad, angry. You know what I can do more than anything? If I just want to be honest, I can relate, my nigga. That's what I definitely can do. And I think parenting is more about, hey, I just came around this corner, looking back over your shoulder. Watch your step. It's a hole in the ground. It's more of that than standing behind them with your hand on their neck and trying to guide them through this shit. Now, you want to be a fool, and I'm telling you, this corner you finna hit, I just hit it, watch your step. You don't want to watch your step, and hey, it's not much you can do for that type of person.
That's deep. I know you got a like your daughter. I know well, you got two daughters, I think, but your oldest daughter. Okay, three. I know 3. One of them grown now, but you got them boys though.
Two of them. I'm glad you brought it back because I lost the train of thought.
Right. It's all good.
Back to the boys because.
But you got them boys though, man. How was it? Raising them boys. They bigger than you, and they ain't even that old. I'm thinking they older than they are, and they still kind of young.
14, 13, 14, and 15.
And one boy looked like he about 16, man. So you got these boys, man. How was it raising these boys, man? How was that for you, man?
It gives me the opportunity to refine myself. I never had enough pressure to let go a lot of the ignorant, unnecessary things and that I used to keep up. A lot of the conversations that I would have, having boys and being having the responsibility of setting an example, it just caused me to. I could, like, for the sake of describing myself as an adequate father, I knew how to say all the right things before having boys of what you should do and how you should carry yourself. However, it wasn't until I actually had boys that, without nobody else telling me, hey, it's time, I started trying to live up to all these things that I knew a man should be doing and should be doing. I didn't want them to get to an age where they were aware and I wasn't on my P's and Q's.
Right. Is that what made you step away from the game for a minute?
Definitely. They were like a high part of my motivation. And it's another thing. It's, to those who have an ear, let them hear. It was 2 G's. It's only 2 rules I have for my boys. You never had no problem out of me. Two G's you can never fuck with. One of them is gang banging. And the other one I ain't gonna speak on, but since they was little. I said, if you ever want to have a problem with me, it's gonna really be a bad. It's gonna, if you do that one or that one. But
look, well, I don't know. Obviously, they probably weren't in the areas, but how can you at the same time, if one would say to you, Spider, how can you tell them don't? Well, of course you're not gonna tell your kids to gangbang. No one should. But if they looking at all the old Spider
Remember I
videos and
said
all
you
that
can't
shit,
be mad
they
and
like
all
my
that.
daddy was the hardest gang. How he gonna tell me he was that nigga? What do you say to that?
This is what I say.
This is just for the people who would say that.
No,
I
I'm
understand. I
glad. No,
feel
I love your questioning. That's a
right.
perfect question. Because I don't have an answer already. So here's the answer. Because I'm going to be honest and think about it. This is what I say. Because my experience is when I was caught with that question and they was babies, I turned my back on that shit 100%.
Right.
And I had a situation with the creator, begged that that doesn't happen. And I haven't had to be faced with them asking me that question. Now I'm gonna hypothetically put myself in them shoes. And now I would have to because I know what that brings, I might come out of that out of love. I might hurt you. Because look, I swear to God, Puto is going through this real time with my nephew Amaru. Mm-hmm. Been going through it. And my nephew, I swear to God, he walking anywhere I'm at, I get the most innocent, childish, loving hug. Hey, Uncle Spider, rub me tender, kick it, hang out. When he leave, same hug. He walk out them doors. Bro, when I talk to his daddy and I begin to start reports, I can't believe it's the same nigga. Mm. But Puto's been through the whole pendulum. Screaming, fighting, did everything. And it wasn't until he threw his hands up, it seemed like nephew was kind of like cool on it. It's like long as his daddy was trying to chase him away, he was popping up. I'm telling you, he had tried multiple, because his daddy was running my, I don't care where you at, where you think you finna be, that I can't be. Pyro Hood, Compton, I'm popping up by myself, snatching your ass up. Mm. And it got to a point where, because now it's like this, you're so scared of what that might have to provide for his future. So you trying to physically deter him from that to show him something so bad that he'd rather stop going through this. And you see that's not helping. So now through my coaching, stop it. You got to let go. Not let go, but you got to let go from that sense. And it seemed like once he let go, I ain't say nephew all the way through with that part of his journey, but he don't seem so anxious and eager. But I see a lot of myself in him because I've told you a story before. I can remember, not because I was doing it on purpose, but because wherever I was at, now my mama come pick me up. And our next stop is at church prayer meeting in the evening. I can remember sitting in church with my mother with a pistol in my pocket, in my coat, sitting right next to her. On the evening, I very well could have gotten up, said the opening prayer, closing prayer. I stood up, sang the songs. Nobody in this motherfucker know I got a pistol. Or the things that I did with it earlier that day, or the things that I might do with it tomorrow. But I don't know what this is. But look, this is a journey I've been on. My sons wasn't raised under this religious church thing like I was. So just imagine a few years ago, they 13, 14, and 15 now. I said at this time they probably was 8, 9, and 10. And one of my partners invited me to his church for an event called Christmas in August. And it's one of these big mega churches. It's right off the 91 in Wilmington. And they had the whole parking lot laid out with rides and games, and they had a giveaway. They was giving away bikes, and my homie was like, hey, bring your kids down here to get some of these bikes. So we went down there thinking we're going to get bikes. All right, long story short, before they allowed the children to go out to the parking lot and have fun with the carnival, the fair, they had a service inside the sanctuary. Now, this is not a church from the denomination I grew up in. But now here I am in church, Spider Low. I got my 3 sons with me who didn't really come up in church under me. I took them to church a few times, but no private school. They don't know nothing like about my upbringing. Right. They look at me like they daddy, a cool ex-street dude. You know, my posture never really changed. I always still been that cool dude. So we in church, mind you, they singing these songs in church. So here's my experience. I want to make sure my sons know ain't nothing corny about this. This shit cool. I'm singing the songs. I even waved my hand a little bit. Not because I even felt it, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't in here acting like I didn't know nothing about this in front of them. I want them to know if this is something that you resonate with, don't feel no shame. Yo, daddy know all about this. So I was just trying to give them an example that, yeah, this is a part of us too. So look how the creator do me. So that they do their little service. Whoa, 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 whoa. I see my sons kind of looking at me singing. They don't know the song.
Right.
But, whoa, whoa, whoa. But they got the words up on like a teleprompter too. So they trying to read the words and sing. So now it's all over with. It's time to go out to the parking lot. Time to get to the bikes and the ice cream and all that. But they made everybody walk out the same door. And they was playing music. And before you walked out the door, they had a prayer line. And the prayer line was people touching hands. And you know, like at the Little League football game, all the kids run under.
Right.
It was like, but it wasn't that many. It would be like 2 right here, then like 2 right there. It probably was like 4 or 5 pair. And they wanted everybody to walk through. And the people in the prayer line had some oil. And they was like talking, praying. And when you walk through, they just touching random people with oil. It's my 1, 2, 3. My son's walking, and I'm number 4. Right. In front of them, as people getting hit with oil, they falling out all on the ground, screaming, hallelujah. So we going through this. As soon as we get through the thing and get in the hallway, I swear to God, all 3 of my sons turned around at the same time. It was like, Daddy, why they was all falling like that? Why they was falling? Now, the same daddy that wanted to get him the image, it's okay to sing these songs. You know the answer. Oh, son, that's the Holy Ghost. My commitment to my kids is to never lie to them. Nigga, immediately out my mouth in the church, I told them, man, that's some bullshit. They'll tell you it's the Holy Ghost, but it ain't the Holy Ghost. I did not feel no guilt, no nothing.
Wow.
So this is my experience. Like, this is my real life experience. Now, my junior, who's 15, he's about 11. We having a conversation on the way to school one morning. I don't know if we heard something, but somehow the word God came up. And this nigga told me this. I've been trained in theology for years. This nigga ain't never studied none of that. And he said this. He said, you know what? I believe it might be a God. He said, but I don't think God is like involving himself in everyday activities. I think whatever he created, he set it in motion and it's in motion. I'm like, whoa. Like, I fuck with that. And I fuck with the fact that didn't nobody have to indoctrinate you, and you're aware enough, alert enough to. I don't have to teach you nothing. You in tune, and I think that's
that was
the journey.
deep right there. Though that was yeah. That was cold right there. That's really kind of make you think.
Yeah, because just think about it. You have to break it down to the motherfuckers that pray. Both teams pray before the baseball game, Little League. So you telling me God is sitting down there picking which kid gonna get the win? And which kid gonna get to cry? Just like you can't tell me God is consciously making a decision to let a 4-year-old girl get raped. Now, whatever evil is at work, I don't know where. See, this is what I'm saying. Just because I don't believe what's been given me doesn't mean I have an actual answer to replace it with. Just because what you giving me don't fit doesn't mean I then have to have an answer. Like, I don't know. But I know for a fact there's a lot of things I've been told that aren't true. And just because I know I'm that's not fact enough that I am behooved or compelled to believe it, doesn't then require me to have an answer to insert it. Now we know we have an empty blank that still needs to be filled.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well.
G-Lew, what it do?
Nah, we'll leave that alone.
Hey,
We ain't gonna get too.
I like this shit. You know, I like this setup, man.
Hey man, for sure. We overdue, Loke. We overdue,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Hey
Indeed.
man, tell me, like you took this time off. Speaking about the kids and all that, you took this time off. Let's talk about, because I didn't even go back. We'll get back to that, but we'll stay where we at. You took this time off, homie. Like, what was it that made you want to come back, or even have the thought of coming back, and then let alone start, doing some music, and then let alone drop that classic Politic, and how did all that come up, bro? The
Well,
EP.
It's somewhat of a blur as far as each moment, but in general, what had taken place was my boys had gotten to an age to where they understood me as being a goofy daddy. And then I also had a natural, when you have a passion and it's on and off at times, and then you've been away from it, that natural calling was coming back, just wanting to fuck around. But one moment I can recall, there's one of my sons in particular, my youngest son, who always had an interest in rap, period. And the fact, out of all 6 of my children, the fact that rap is associated with me, it means most to him.
Right.
And I can recall the experience, one, being at his school. It was like a Father's Day thing. And we was walking from station to station. There's a lot of fathers here. And I remember walking at one point, and it was like 2 or 3 of his friends walking with him. And they walking in front of me. And I could see the little boys keep looking back at me. I don't really know what's going on. And the little boy say, "Hey, are you a rapper?" And at this time in my life, my answer used to be. That was the common answer. Like, I used to be.
Right.
And I don't know for what reason at that moment, the little boy's like, "Hey, you a rapper?" I was like, "Yep." My son was like, I told you. I was like, whoa. This nigga was like 6, 7.
Right.
I'm like, whoa, what if I didn't say the right thing? It was going to crush him.
Right.
So I took a heavy mental note of that. Shout out Curvell. I love you, boy.
Curvell.
And then one day he and I was in the car rolling. And I remember he little to where his feet don't even hit the ground. Like, his hands under his thighs. And I'm just driving, doing some corny ass, rolling through the street. Nikes on my feet. Me and Velioli finna get something to eat. Rapping to the beat. I'm bullshitting. That nigga say, he get the blushing big as fuck. He like, you about to go back to rapping? I'm like, nah, man. I'm too old. He was like, man, you still got it. And that lit a fire in me.
Wow.
Yeah, that lit a fire in me. It kind of got me like, I kind of felt like I owe him a run at it. And so.
Wow.
Those things were a lot of the things that played part. On top of just me getting the itch back, it was some of the things that kind of just like, go ahead.
Well, tell me this. When you came back, like, what made you go in the direction you did, like, to make the songs? I'm sure, I don't know what you thought it was going to be and all that, but how you put that shit together was like, as far as the beats, the collaborations, all that. How were you knowing how to do that?
I skipped the major part. Now,
okay.
To add context to what you said earlier about why I stepped away, for those that didn't quite understand, the reason being it was, as a rapper, I was Spotter Low. Ambassador of a Crip sect of hip hop.
Right.
And that's what I was known for. The 2 older boys, their mother used to readily play my music in the car while they was in it, bumping it, not me. Me stepping away was me being kind of perplexed with, like I told you, I wanted to set an example and not preach one. So I didn't know, I just didn't know how to like coexist with all this bullshit I'm talking about and raising them in a different mind frame. So I just, like, when they was with me, they would block it out. They would never hear it. And then when I got to a point where they was older and Curvell was telling me to rap and all that, I asked each of my boys, I explained to them like this: y'all know I'm your daddy, goofy, fun loving, that's it. I say, but guess what? My job used to be being an asshole rapper, a badass gangster rapper. I could go back to it, get it cracking. Do y'all mind? It's just a job. I'm still your daddy, the goofy nigga that you know. But I'm real good at being this type of nigga as a job. Do y'all give me your blessing? And he's like, yeah. So that's why I was comfortable coming out with music like politicking. And at that time, you know, my my more preferred style was a more open, smooth, melodic style.
Right.
But shout out to G5, the homie Killer, the Fanatics in general, still a homie. But at that time, he was close in my circle, and that was his premier style of production. And he was one of the first producers that provided me with a beat pack. You know, typically a nigga send you a beat pack, he hope you rap on one, maybe two. Whoa, 3 is great. That nigga sent me like 8, 9 beats. I made politicking. Like, fuck it. We rapped on every one. It was hard. It was a different sound for me.
I always told you that was like a no skipper, man. That politicking was a class. Seriously, that was a classic, bro. To come back out like every song on there. I was bumping because I brought it back since I knew I was gonna be interviewing you like all week. I've been bringing back all the old shit, and I was banging that politic, and I was like, yeah, I forgot this motherfucker right here.
I'm proud of politicking, man. Proud of politicking. That was a real refreshing effort, not knowing how it was gonna come together, and we didn't put a whole bunch of effort into it as far as reaching out to this, that. Like I told you, it was one beat pack, first producer. I recorded the majority of the songs myself, and just getting it in. Like, it was fun. I had a lot of fun doing politicking because you know how, like, after you ain't really been active in writing and recording for a while, you just wonder, like, can I still just get it cracking, like, if I need it? And then when you just get it cracking, and I committed myself on politicking to no skippers. And when I got back to writing, I didn't want to record nothing that didn't impress me. So try not to rush write at all. I'll write on the spot, but I'm still going to wait until I really like the line before I just fuck it and get to something else. And politicking was like...
You always been like that, though. You always whether people know it or not, or some songs but you always been pretty precise with that. But not only that, you had the collaborations on there. Like, you had some cold collaborations. The shit with you and AD, and then you had Slim 400, rest in peace. Then you got Daz, like, that surprised people because they know y'all used to beef. You feel me? But then you got Daz on there, and that motherfucker banging. Then
shout out Daz.
You got a lot of the Outlaws. You know, you got a lot of nice collabs on there as well. You know, how did all that come together? Politicking,
that's just politicking. You feel me? But yeah, like, once I came home, shout out to Young Flo, rest in peace, Lantana Flo. And I mean, I came home once I came back. Well, back home to hip hop. But when I came back, AD was buzzing. He was popping. And he from Lantana. And one of my brother's best friends, rest in peace, is from Lantana. And he also is a hip hop head, and he's a networker. And it just made sense for him to put me in touch with AD. And AD blessed me with the verse. And Slim 400, shout out Park Bo, my nigga Russ, New, all the Track News. My niggas from Track New happened to go to high school with Slim 400 back in the day. So through their childhood connection, once he got the buzzing, they had bumped into each other. And one day I'm in Track New Hood early in the morning. Slim 400 is with my 2 comrades. I hop in the car, we get to thugging, smoking, drinking, kicking it. And I started running across him over there quite often. And what actually happened was I had wanted to send that record to YG because I had mentioned the Treetop shit on there. Right. And I was kind of cordial with Buddha-Roo, who was YG homie. And he had told me he'd get him to do it for me. But I kind of think like, no, this was when Buddha-Roo told me.
Was this before though or after? Because I know at one time you got at YG though.
It's before.
I think this was before. Okay.
It's before. Right. And long before. Okay. But, once Buddha-Roo told me he was going to get the record done for me, and it was taking some time to get it done, he told me that YG didn't really like the shit I said about Bompton. First rapped on the wax, say Bompton on wax, so he didn't really want to fuck with it, which I could understand. But I had already shouted out the Treetops. my nigga King Troop from Treetop, Boodaroo. It was just, I was so
Right.
glad Slim 400 was buzzing enough to where it seemed like a good
Perfect.
replacement.
Yeah.
And plus, I had a line on him. So I invited him to do it. He did it for me. Had no idea it was going to be taken from us so soon, but that's how that came about. And then Fast Lane Fig, shout out my homie,
Yeah.
Lil 7, free Fig Newton, my nigga. I heard he was locked. And
Free Fig.
he happened to have a
hard,
first
too.
cousin that's from my hood. And so that's where that connect came from. I had to bring back Pipe the Snipe. Unfortunately, Smurf didn't quite make that project. He on Blue Smurf new shit though. He
What's
killed
up
that
with Blue?
motherfucker.
Okay, hold up. We all over the
Yeah.
place. There's a lot of shit I keep forgetting to ask you, but while we on Blue Smurf, man, speak on the homie Blue Smurf, man.
Mafia
Your
to the
artist
mafia,
hard,
y'all know what I
Mafia,
mean?
yeah.
Good luck.
Mafia hey, shout out to the homie Blue Smurf. He hard, and I know he got a project you guys been working on, ready to come out.
2
What's
M's,
going on with
music
Blue
and
Smurf?
money. Blue Smurf is the up and coming artist off the Baymac Entertainment imprint. He's from the north side of Long Beach. He's like a young cat that been through this gang bang scenario firsthand, trying to do things to better his life. Has a hell of a talent as a poet. He knows how to articulate this urban experience in a way only he can. He has a very unique voice by way of a lisp. Some may call a lisp negative. I think it gives him a very unique sound and texture on the tracks. His voice is very coarse. And he's a guy I came across just by going through my Instagram feed and him
I
posting
remember that shit.
freestyles. Yeah. And I would be so impressed by his freestyles. I would just repost them. Just not only me appreciating it, but also trying to show love to somebody who just was, unrecognized. Nobody I figured knew him. So I'm just trying to keep it real. With a nigga I like, I'm posting him on my feed. And he used to wear blue and gold and holler Mafia all the time. So I thought he was from Main Street.
Right.
Yeah, so eventually when I started reposting his
Were you
clips,
reluctant at first because of that, or you was just like whatever?
well, if I was reluctant for a half a second, it probably would have been just that the first video wouldn't have did it.
Right.
But if I would have liked them, because like the dynamic with the main streets, how it has been, even when it was, like, niggas will never understand. Like, I got a gang of homies from Main Street. Like, Del Dog was my nigga. All the niggas that was real close with and his crew was my niggas.
Y'all literally like neighbors, huh?
Yeah, neighbors. And then just think, as neighbors, there has been a war. I think America and Mexico has fought a war before, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in that sense, we've experienced the whole spectrum. But yeah, I got a gang of homies, and right now, from the current climate of things, like the main streets ain't even considered as no enemy no more.
Right.
Although I'm not even involved, but even for that environment, they more like homies than they is enemies.
Right. That's another thing. While we're still on Blue Smurf, but we're speaking about Main Street and mafias and all that.
Music and money, 2 M's coming
music
soon.
and
Blue
money,
Smurf.
Blue Smurf. Hey, we got to get him on here too. But at what point, man, were you able to really say, man, like, because you always say, "Nah, I'm a former gang member," but we know you still, who you are, but you don't, do all that. But at what point did you
13, 14,
officially?
and 15.
At what point
13,
you?
14, and 15.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
really before
Got
that.
you.
Really before that.
But
this is when I started
but
making-
look, even I only say
All right.
that too because not to cut you off, Spider, but let me add this because at one point too, a few years ago, you was going
Before
through
that.
it with one of your former homies. You went over there and then you said, "Nah, I played myself. This is the last time I'll do some shit like that as well." So I just want to add that part too. So all of that, like, what
So this
made
is
you
my
say
thing.
that and not
As
look
far
back?
as being active, it was officially over once I considered myself a professional artist. That's when by the time you heard me say G Unit Crip, definitely. Definitely, I was not active. However, I was immediately present in the environment for long after that. See, I'm not saying what I'm about to say in a bragatory sense, just explaining about myself.
Right.
When I'm active, my years as being active part of the shits, I'm like, we got a team, different people play different parts. Everywhere I go, though, this is my whole life, no matter where I'm at. When it comes to being with niggas or wherever, if shit pop, I'm typically initiator. Like, that's just the role I play. So coming from, just think about what we talking about now, gangbanging. Being a nigga that this is the role, like, I'm not no nigga that I'm away from nobody to send me, and I'm not going to try to send nobody else.
Right.
When it's obvious that certain things is called for, I'm amongst the tribe that just, we get at it. Like, that's me. So I've never mastered. So just think about this. Being in an environment where when it comes to this shit over here, this is how I feel about it. Now you come to a point where I'm not active no more, but I'm still going to hang around. And now when certain shit come up, you see the general way it go. I'm an individual that is going to be enticed to get things to go the way they would go if I was active, because I'm not seeing it go like that no more. I'm not a nigga that can just keep kicking it, hanging out, and now it's like, and I'm just going, no, guess what? It's going to start getting back jumping. That's not a game I need to play with myself or my loved ones. Now, I made that conscious decision to stay away from my environment on my own free will, walked away long ago, like 7 years ago. And I share with you a time I randomly got the itch, went. See my big homie. Oh, my birthday, go fuck with me. Hit the corner. Shit go chaotic. I recommit myself to you motherfucker. Should have known better. So never know you can't. It's I don't. So when the shit you mentioned, it blows my mind that way down in even in the holler out, motherfucker say, he don't come to the I do. Right. Yeah, so how am I a problem? I don't like you wait till you finally after 7 years.
How do you refrain from even that shit when you know something like, not even to go into that, and all that, but when you know what the business is, it's like how you even dare speak on me, but then how do you refrain from even like, nigga, I'll come over here and won't.
Now that's the answer. They 13, 14, 15, 18, 22, and 2.
Gotcha.
Every decision I make in life, I weigh it against the ramifications of those 7 individuals.
Right.
And then you just think about what it's going to have to be to outweigh that.
Right.
And then, like, if I would go into the script, you seen the video of the guy of who, it's like, bro, that's like you, right? That's like somebody telling me, you can't spell, and I go check in high school to try to pass a spelling bee.
Right.
Guess what? I've realized they 13, 14, and 15. That's the age I was when I embarked on them activities.
Right. Got you, bro. Enough said.
I can't even imagine a scenario me subjecting myself to the opinions or concerns of what some other group of niggas think, care, say, or not. When I was active, I always overcompensated to make sure I had never hear about what no nigga had to say when I was active. So now when I'm not even fucking around, at this age, after I am a second generation parent, my child had a child, what the fuck I look like giving a fuck about what any nigga got to say about what the fuck I'm doing or care about what they doing. Shit don't even, I laugh at a nigga who think he's being impressive by claiming to be that guy stuck in that situation.
Facts.
Hate to quote the bitch boy, but I'm the nigga from the hood, living the good life. You that nigga had to die trying to pull me back, right?
Hey, before I get into that, because that still is you don't shy away from that, how you feel, and how you feel, period. I don't think it's about shying away. It's just about being how you feel. You ain't got to sugarcoat shit. You know what
Nah,
I
but you
mean?
know
It
what I
is
be
what it
doing?
is.
I be doing what I do.
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna remind you. I be trying to like do shy away from what I feel. I just speak about the facts associated
In
with
fact,
certain subjects. And the fact is,
right,
a bitch nigga is a bitch nigga,
right,
regardless if I feel he wasn't. And if
right.
I can chronicle activities that classify him as a bitch, you know, fuck how I feel about him, fuck how you feel about him. That nigga's a bitch.
I know what you
When
just
you
heard the
go
homie
ahead,
on No Jumper today. I was like, wow, he's
no,
speaking on people speaking on it. But that it is
I
what it is. We ain't gonna go there. They speaking on it. But just like what you said. But on the flip side of that, bro, this industry did I mean, going back like even past Suge and G Unit, you know what I mean? First let me say this. G Unit, when you first got down and everything was beautiful, did you really like I mean, how was that? Just let me just go for that first moment because you've witnessed a lot in this industry, homie, good and bad and all the bullshit. You know what I mean? But at that one point when you first got with them and you got that big check and whatever, came with it, did you really feel at this point really accomplished now, like I really made it and made your
man,
people proud and everyone proud?
when you a nigga that give your mama 10 bands in the ghetto, in our scenario, yeah, you
Right,
feel like, yeah, gave my mama 10 bands. And
right,
then I remember pressing her, like, did you buy you something? What you gonna get? You get something? She's like, I'm trying to think about it. I don't know. I'm gonna get some. And then I remember getting to a point in my life to where she fed me them 10 bands back 200-300 at a time.
wow,
Never spent the dime. Yeah, but
wow,
I definitely don't get at me. Yeah, bro, like,
right.
yeah, you couldn't. I
That's why I
never
just want to
saw
go
that you
back to
could
that
do it.
one time, not all the other, but just that one moment, and
Yeah,
when it
you couldn't
first
tell me
happened, and
nothing. Could have
right,
told me never. Could have never assumed that it would have turned out in the fashion it did. And not even about thinking that that was going to be such a major event. It was the relationship that I had assumed I had developed with Mr. Jackson that I thought was infallible because I knew I wasn't going to violate it, and he appeared to
right,
be more invested than me, and
right,
he had a lot. It's a lot harder for him to violate it. So I
right,
just
right,
I just knew if it was on me to keep it on track, we good. I never
right.
saw this coming. Like I don't even speak to the depths of
And that
my
you don't,
shock
but look.
because
Look. Not to cut you off, let me add this because this was one of my things I had wrote a couple days ago, but you made me think about it. You never, until recently, a couple years, I don't know for what reason, but even way past when the shit was done and people would still even ask you shit in interviews, you still never spoke bad or said anything, homie. You just like it is, whatever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
What point did that change, or what was that about?
well, um, I had an appreciation for the experience overall,
Hmm.
and I took the route in my mind to initially to uh, utilize the good to outweigh the bad and just leave it at that. However, here we go, social media years later. Um, now, the things that I were I was consciously deciding not to speak about were things that were valid to mention back then. But I'm gonna bring it up again. Chestnut checkers. I just didn't feel like it was the appropriate time for multiple reasons, and I just chose to leave it at that. Now, Flash, I'm back in the game trying to do whatever. Social media is a thing. I run across an old clip that reminded me of the moment when it became extremely obvious that 50 was hating on me. And in the spirit of a throwback Thursday, I posted the clip, which was straight him um, hating on me. And that's what I titled it. I say, Throwback Thursday, flashback to when I realized 50 Cent was hating on me. When he was giving an interview
And sitting
and he
there
just
with him
hated on
in
me.
bank, they was in the back.
Banks and yeah,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So he responded and gave this, I wasn't hating. I was disappointed you didn't deliver. Right then and there, he lied on me when he said
Mm,
I didn't deliver. Because he know, Puto know, and my brother Turtle, rest in peace, know, it was a time in Connecticut in '06 when he declared my album was complete. It was time to get the second half of the advance. and do this and do that and do that. I say that to say I delivered. But when he chose to respond to my clip, instead of him just saying something else, he chose to lie on me. I chose to take offense when you lied on me.
Right.
You lied on me, so I'm going to tell the truth on you. That's when I began more comfortable. Not only can I have this footage of you hating on me while I was signed to you as your artist, now here it is. When you don't acknowledge me at all, I'm just talking to my few people on my page, like, this one I remembered, and now you want to respond and then lie and say I didn't deliver, as if that's the reason why shit didn't continue. And then he played politics. He tried to mention other niggas, Crip niggas, and play one side against the other in his response. So this is when I started being comfortable, being vocal about my thoughts toward him.
Right. Wow.
In chess, you could be watching just like you were watching me not speak about 50. And you could be sitting there with another nigga, like tapping each other, pointing at the board, wondering why I don't make a certain move. The nigga I'm playing against could be thinking I'm slippery, wondering why I don't make it. And it's not until I execute everything I'm doing that everybody realizes, oh, so I can understand how it could look like, why he didn't or why he. It would be a lot ineffective, especially right on the heels of the way the bitch boy.
It was almost like a statute of limitations or something. Like Spider, you was on like I did. It was like it was real chess shit, homie. Like I don't know, bro.
Cause just think,
you a cold nigga, man.
Yeah, and the creator also, one of my very important lessons that I've had been to learn throughout my journey is, shut up. But shut up, not now. So what? But I want to be shut up. So, yeah, I think had I addressed a lot of these issues and got it off my chest back then, I don't think my position would have been heard as well.
Right.
You know? And look, just know this. It's other shit that say something for the book, bro. It's other shit, like, as messy as they think I've been, bro.
That's what I always ask you. I think I asked you before, but put it in the comment one time, but about that book. I don't know if I did, but what, because you know people, they want that story, bro. People love to hear you. That's how you got this shit cracking, right? People used to go on your live, and people love to hear the stories,
and
bro.
You know, I did not come. I didn't start doing it with the mind frame of telling stories. Right. I did it with the mind frame.
People ask you a question. People ask you
just
something.
Engaging.
Yeah.
But by far, so many people that don't know each other always tap in and tell me the storytelling. Man, we love the storytelling. The storytelling. For some reason, that is the jewel that seems to like stick out the most throughout the Black Box experience.
Right. Yeah, it is. People. So with that being said, we have a book in the making. That's what we're saying.
We're working on that. Yep.
Okay.
Indeed.
Is it get autobiography type shit or
that's what I yes.
Okay.
That's my mind frame. What happened was I'm on my third writer now.
Mm-hmm.
My desired method of getting this done is utilizing a ghostwriter. And I just haven't been able to force my brain to construct it on my own. I got all the thoughts. I went through hours of recorded conversations with one writer.
Right.
And I still have the recordings. So then after a few years, got to the second writer, shared the recordings, anticipated a start date late last year. I just recently, as of a week ago, made communication with a third writer, and so we're gonna see where we go with that.
Okay. I know the people. That book, boy, is gonna be. That's gonna be a bestseller, man. And then I'm sure some more shit's gonna come with it. You know what I mean? So where is Spider now? Where does the hunger where you at with it? The music, like books, film.
Man, I love.
Oh yeah, you're.
I
Hold on. I
love.
meant to
I
ask you
love.
this earlier. Hold up. With Blue Smurf, I meant to ask you this briefly. You have an artist now, so now that means you back in the game on that tip,
Yeah,
CEO and managing.
that's
What
my
gave you the
focus.
hunger? Okay,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
but you know how cold that how that shit go too though. Like how do you stay committed and because you know how that shit go when you have
He
artists,
helps.
people and their
It helps
feelings
to
and
have
all
a
that.
very, it helps to have a very humble artist. And
Right.
something I was attempting to share earlier, I lost my train of thought. Once I became a fan of Blue Smurf, I realized by reaching out to him that I had been his favorite rapper for years,
Okay.
and he considered his style pattern after mine.
Right.
So he has a very humble approach to our situation, and his expectations they're very low. And as far as what he thinks or expects could come out of what we actually doing right now, it's a humble effort, and because of that, I've been committed to make sure we it exceed his expectations, and
Right.
that's where the patience has come in because we could have been through it out,
Right.
but because he's so willing to go with the flow, I've been patient to make sure it'd be a tad more than what he was anticipating. So we want to make sure he get a look. He definitely got to come and do this.
So
And
for sure, for sure.
go
I
ahead.
was gonna ask you, how do you plan to market him or I don't know what type of push you're trying to do or whatever, but how do you plan to
This
market
the
him
thing.
to regardless get him to a bigger level?
Well, this the thing. That's why
Because
I
you know
said
you're
the
gonna get that stamp
expectations.
on him automatically.
I didn't want to make a negative connotation when I say no expectations. This is a philosophy that we build with from the bottom in this independent game.
Right.
From my perspective, it's not about acquisition of interest as much as it is catering to the interest that already develops. And while you feed the audience that you have and keep them satiated by it's just a force of nature that is going to grow.
Right.
It's going to grow. And we just want to get it presented solid, not trying to trick nobody that it's a big old machine or more behind it than it actually is. But we just want to get it solid and then get it coming consistent. And I think before we can market him in a specific way, I think his lane is going to pave itself. You hear his music, there's no denying that it's gangbang music.
Right.
And I happen to be in a position in my life where I don't got much more gangbang music left in me.
Right. Right.
Um, so I'm glad to have somebody that can express that side of my character now. I feel like my newest record,
That's what I was
first
gonna
I
ask you.
only had
Where do you draw inspiration from now?
it's very hard because I'm so stuck in what I have become.
Right.
So I try to find a balance of who I actually am right now and not compromise Spider Lope too much. And I just don't know I'm so much Spider Lope, I don't know what the fuck to write no more when it
Right.
comes to creating music for the audience. Now, if just say you call me tomorrow and say, hey man, I'm working on this project. It's a fucking kids project. I need a song about the snow, the rain, and the stars. I could write anything about anything, but I just don't I don't have the motivation just to write random. Every time I go to write random, this shit get aggressive.
Right. Right.
The same elements come to my head. It's like, so this is what I'm going through with the young artists. I'm in the studio. Me, Dre 5, D motherfucking T, Blue
Oh,
Smurf.
shout out to Dre 5.
Yeah, Dre 5, my nigga too.
That's
So
what's up.
we doing music and they want me to get on the records. They want me to get on record. They want the old spot of love. They want to beat up me jumping on shit. These niggas are so hungry and so on fire. A beat come up, a few minutes, somebody got a hook. He go in the booth on the hook is I'm a murder, kill, nigga, shoot. What I'm supposed to say?
Right.
What I'm supposed to
You
say?
coming
So,
in there with the young homies.
hey, now
Right.
this how now I'm shaping my verses like this. Wooty woo. Still trying to show the little homies. I gotta throw something like that in there because while I'm rapping with these niggas, I'm rapping for the 13, 14, and
Right.
15-year-old.
Right.
Even though they gave me permission to do it, you see, this whole conversation has been
Right.
about my convictions. I'm a motherfucking that's been plagued with convictions, and I've tried to follow a certain energy, and that's caused my path to go like this kind of. But I do believe that all roads lead to Nineveh. So just take it one day at a time, man. I don't got it all figured out. Like I said way in the beginning.
Right. Right. It's all good, homie. Um. So now, like I asked you, as far as the music, you said you have something new coming out. Tell us about that.
Well, no, I was trying to describe. I first only had one record on Blue Smurfs album, but just being in the studio recently, like I say with Dre 5, I ended up getting on another record, and I was just trying to describe the mind. I'm trying to
Okay.
the nigga I am to them in real life. I'm
Right.
their big homie, and I'm a appropriate big homie that's trying to tell them everything that's right. But then when we get in the studio, the music we do, it's on that bullshit.
Right.
So
Right.
now I'm trying to be on the record and still be the same nigga I am to them in real life. I don't get on the record and just dumb out with them and talk all reckless. I might
Right.
pass a warning, but I'm gonna shape that warning in the fact that I ain't even on that no more. But
Right.
and I gotta get mine off like that. I
Well,
can't
you
be
probably
fake,
just
bro.
can't get on them records. You got to get on them other ones. They got something that's you feel me. I know they
Bring
want
the
you on there,
maturity
but
out,
may
yeah.
not have to. That may
But
not be the one.
they might have gotten the last few out of me.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Because we laughed about it the whole time we was doing it. I was expressing myself like this. Like, so it's something we all aware of now. So they might know to call me for the smoother shit now.
Shout out to Nickel Bags. He out there. He said we need
Two
that
Nicks, what it do? Two
King
Nicks.
King of R&B 4.
Look, he's saying that. All the revamp catalog, it's on him to get it together. So I think he's in the mirror right now just trying to, that's self-motivation.
Shout out to my boy Nick, man. Nickel
Two
Bags.
Nicks.
Two Nicks, man. Also speaking of big homies, man, I want to give a shout out to your big homie, your G homie, and your big bro. If you can just
SPI.
speak on what he meant to you, man, and even before he went away, he got to witness some of your success as well. Just speak on all that, and since he's been gone, and how that affected you, man.
Well, man, you'll open up a can of worms with me trying to fit that into an appropriate amount of time. I could just
Just
say
whatever.
this: like I'm far from a follower,
Right.
and my name is Spider under him. So that will give you a certain type of indication of the influence that he had, not purposely over my life. He never said, "Come on, let's
Right.
go," or "Come do this." This just me being observant. He always was trying to be a deterrent, not necessarily because he cared so much about me being in that environment, and it was more so he didn't want to bear any responsibility as being the person that led me down that road
Right.
from Big Tommy, and he
Right.
didn't want to be his fault. So I can tell you this: I remember at one point when I finally like jumped off the porch, and he would tell you he used to go through experience of he was in the pen. When I jumped off the porch, my brother was in jail. So I used to remember he used to call to the hood, and they'd be like, "Hey, your brother wooty woo, your brother wooty woo," and he can tell you a time in his life of thinking like, "Lil Nori, you lying, Mom." He like, "Cuz you got the nut." So then once he came home, and now I'm in his face and he's seeing it, all he can say is, "Cuz I'm so glad I was in jail. They can't blame this shit on me." So
Right.
like
Right.
that was the dynamic between us. But his reputation and his energy was such G established. It kind of set a bar of what I kind of like perceived I was supposed to live up to.
Right.
And even at the rap time, at time juggling mentally between, do I want to do the church shit or do I want to? I remember him at one point in my life asking me, like, "Cuz, check this out, cuz." This after I'm baby Spider, been in prison, came home, baptized, church, and he in his mind, this is my mama, my wife. That's what they want you to do. And he was like, "Cuz, just what do you want to do?" I was like, "Shit, I want to rap." He's like, "Cuz, you gotta do you." So he was very helpful and influential in me having the courage to make that decision at a point in my life. He and I, then just think about it. I met Buck Jenner through Cuz. So, there's so many different elements of a brotherhood that you can tap into, but it's a deep intertwinement with my experience with his. His son is my son. My nephew, that's my son.
Right.
So, just think, my brother is Spider, I'm Spider, and our son, his son, my nephew is Spider. Then he got another son that is my son from Front Hood. Shout out to my nephew Catman. Because of his situation, I really.
Hey, why you ain't never released that song, man? That's one of the ones you gave me, you blessed me with in the cut. You didn't release that though. You know what I'm talking about? You was talking about your nephew. Okay.
Send it to me because you know what happened? When I put out Illiterate, remember Cleopatra put it out.
Right.
And then when I bought the masters back, they took their copy, they took it down. And it was on me to re-upload it. So we re-uploaded it.
Right.
I don't know how I put that acapella shit up there. Speaking of Nickelbacks, he tried to put a beat up under them acapellas and send it to me. That didn't work, Nick.
That
shit did not flow. But yeah, send it to me and I'll put it out on something soon.
Because that was hard, right? That was hard, man. That was hard, bro. And then gave a shout out to your bro. That was hard right there.
Damn. My brother, just think, my father is married to his mother.
Right.
Then I remember growing up in a household, going to my daddy's house at a time to where I could tell I was too young to understand why, but I could just tell this lady don't like me. My brother's mama don't like me. I'm talking about, just think, I had a child's innocent mind. I didn't have a clue why she didn't like me. And then shout out my brother Derek, who turned
That's your brother. What shout out, man.
What year is this? 22?
Yeah.
So Derek turned 35 tomorrow. So
I was gonna ask you about him too.
Yeah,
go ahead.
He when he was born, with the challenges.
Yeah.
Very ill. And I was 12 years old. Now, mind you, I've been in this household 19 years coming over here. This lady don't like me for some reason. I don't know why. I'm 12. Spider 15, 16.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy older than that. I've been praying for a little brother. I don't got no little brother and sister. He came out damaged, broke. To me, it didn't matter. But now I'm at my daddy house way more than I used to be, just playing with my little brother. Now, this lady who's overwhelmed with this extra challenge with this not so well baby has help. All of a sudden, me and my other mother who couldn't stand me became best of friends to the point where when I went to prison, she finally was capable of writing me and talking about acknowledging that she didn't like me and that she had to get to a maturity where this boy, it ain't his fault. Check this out. I remember walking home from high school one day, 16, 17, by myself, walking, and it just dinged on me. Ding! Oh, that's my daddy's wife. That's my little brother mama and my big brother's mama. And then it's just me. I'm oh, this is why she didn't. And it just dawned on me. So, of course, all those are three real grown people going through that. So we know it wasn't even that simple. We don't know all the shit that went through. So I just, now you asked me about my relationship with my brother. I was just giving you different aspects of how even his mother is my mother. His son is my son. His mother is my mother. And I mean, my relationship with my other mother, I say other mother and Louis' stepmother intentionally. My other mother, our relationship is like, and my mother is not offended by this at all. I got two mamas. So my brother, and he played a certain influence, but it's more of an influence of the whole unit. We got a bigger brother, my big brother Slick. And Slick wasn't as much as an influence over me, but he has been a very protective presence.
Right.
He a cold nigga, yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Shout out to the family, man.
Mm-hmm.
So and shout out to Big SPI, man. Hopefully he gets to
free the SPI.
Come home one day, man. Free
1, 2, and 4.
Man. How does that again? And we'll get ready to end it, man, because we've been on here a minute. But I just want to end it with this. How does that make you feel? You got all your Big Spider, Tiny, and everybody. You know, you out here. You already said you were a loner, but does that shape you even more to be more of that? You know, and just focus on you and your kids because there's so much bullshit. You ain't got your real ones. You know what I mean? How does that shape you in that form? And
yeah, because when a lot of things, I'm glad that you asked that, because in retrospect, and when you sum it all up, you are absolutely right. However, I never allowed that being the case to cause me to fall back. But if you just want to generally think about it, when shit all hit the fan, politics, just think about it. Big U got a little baby, tiny infant, and newborn, you and draws from it. He got both names, got that. So just think about when you out here in the street life, in the structure of the life we live in. Just think about what that means when shit start hitting the fan, no matter what, who, what. That basically is a core you can count on to be, we know we all back to back. And it's going to go from there. So with that being part of the structure, you definitely realize when it's not in place.
Right.
It's a difference.
Right. One more thing. You spoke on you, but let me shift it a bit because I didn't even ask you about this. But
I just use Cuz for example because that is the most unique circumstance of gang names I ever heard of. And it's without celebrating or glorifying the lifestyle, that's just fly to me. To have two names and then have a whole line of little homies under both names.
Right.
That's just within the gangbang spectrum. That's fly. That's G. That's hard to me.
Right. Let me end it like this because I didn't really. Well, you spoke on them briefly earlier, but summarize your relationship with the homie. Rest in peace, Neighborhood Nip. I mean, from the beginning, man. Because even now that you got the black box, you're able to revamp the song and you play it at the beginning of every episode, right? And some people say, why does he do that? But it's become so much. That was already like way before, when that song, I didn't know you then, but way back then, bro, that was my shit. I know you guys had another song you did, but that one right there was already a classic before you guys knew it, right? So it's crazy that you can bring it back now and people appreciate it. Like I know everyone that's it, since you play that like that, everyone loves that song, bro, and that video is classic. But speak about just your relationship with Nip, man, and what a lot of people don't know, and to me, you guys had a unique, more than I've seen with any of even some of his closest homies, because you've done some classic music with him, and he always fucked with you, and all the way through. So speak about Nip, rest in peace.
Shout out to the Puto.
Shout out to Puto too. We ain't shout him out. Shout out Puto.
Yeah, my broski Puto introduced me to Nip like in '01. Day Uno song I said '03 just to rhyme, but it was like '01 actually. And he wasn't even Nipsey, he was just Ermias. And he might have been Lil TC, I ain't sure, but that wasn't the parameter we met on. Me and
Right.
Puto was thugging it in Watts one day doing whatever we do. I think Puto had the car at the time and I didn't know for whatever it is, we needed a ride. And the nigga Puto called for a ride. It just happened to be Cub. Met him, wasn't nothing. Then start doing my thing with the rap shit. I remember him telling me, I remember my boy, woo woo. He doing it, trying to do his shit too. I was that right, woo. So start hearing his name slightly here and there, independent of my direct plug. So then when I start hearing his name, like Puto, now Puto tell me to this day, if you notice he ain't in the video, he like, I wasn't even there that day.
Right.
So now I'm trying to scratch in my head to think, what was the next? But to those that don't realize, the song he's referring to, Come Smoke One With Us, I believe I have the very first appearance of Nipsey Hussle in a rap video as a collab that he and I did in my old studio in the Blue Room. You go look it up, Come Smoke One With Us. You can just look at his general features and you can kind of tell how young he was and how early on it was in his career.
Right.
Now, I remember when his career launched back then, the way Nipsey viewed me as an artist was when he was doing local radio, and they used to ask him about his list of influences. When he would do the regular Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, and all that, he would throw my name.
He would say, I heard him say that a few different times, bro. Real shit.
Right. So this is the rapport we had. So me inviting him to the studio, that was the respect level. He was paying the respect up. No disrespect. That's just the way it is, right? So now, flash. I go to my hiatus. That night we did Come Smoke One With Us. We did 2 songs. And then I went to my hiatus, but throughout that time, he still was somebody I was super cool with, could holler at, whatever. But mind you, this is why there's such a gap in the later work, in the early work. I had went on the hiatus, and that's when he started to just do. So now, not being his very best friend, it's kind of awkward to try to, when you come, I come back into the game, now you cross his path. It's like, hey, and then by the time I get back in the game and we get around to collabing again, and I never attempt to put no extras on the conversations we was having in the weeks and months leading up to his passing. But you see how much I was tucked and embraced at that moment. Now you just project what you could imagine, cause I often feel like he was taken from me. And that's so selfish for me to feel that way. So I never talk about it. He was taken from his babies and his mom and so many other people. And it's no way for me to express how much he was taken from me. In a lot of sense, I've tagged him to Keyway Christ. And bringing it back to a spiritual sense, I hear motivational speakers refer to movies to grab. Don't think me referring to the Bible is me promoting it as a tool. I'm just very familiar with it, and I've grabbed a lot of life lessons out of it. So in the same sense that Peter came to prepare the way, I'm John the Baptist. I feel like a John the Baptist. Was it Peter? Yeah. Was it John the Baptist? A John the Baptist to, was it Peter that prepared the way for Christ? I feel like I somewhat, because I had no idea he was going to be gone. I share often that in the later years of his life, or the final year, there was a fucking element. I'm like 10 years older than Cuz. I'm Big Tommy's son.
Right.
For some reason, I felt comfortable being around him. And without him establishing it or it being obvious, I felt comfortable feeling like the little homie. Didn't know why, couldn't quite figure it out. I had no idea that there was so much big homie going on in such a small bit of time because he wasn't going to be here that long. Had no idea. And to sum it up, the reason why Come Smoke One, I'm so glad I started playing it each day before he passed. But I did it because, like you know, our show was the Wake and Bake show.
Right.
And it
was
and
perfect.
once he came, once he came to the Black Box and blessed us with the drop,
man,
it dawned on me. It's a smoking show. We got the Nipsey intro. Duh, our song is Come Smoke One with Us. This is our intro song. Then when he passed, of course, we dedicated ourselves to it even more. But to sum that whole experience up, man, you don't understand how bad I wanted him on the Best Friend record that me and Nina Boy got. He had it for a couple years. At one point, told me the whole story about how him and Fats developed their friendship and how he died, and told me how that's why it was so hard for him to do this record entitled Best Friend. And I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of like thinking that was like some cap.
Right. Yeah, I noticed you at one time you kind of expressed some you know, some concern, some irritation.
We went through some. We went through.
Yeah, I remember.
We went. Had he lived longer, and the intellectual level that he and I experienced, perhaps it'll be a conversation we would eventually have to have and share with people. But it'll be one that's buried from now on, just based on. But he finally one day FaceTimed me and was like, "Hey, SPI, I'm trying to write to that Best Friend record, man." He said it ain't really flowing. He was like, "Look, if you want me to force it, I'll force it for you." He was like, "Or I got a record I can send you, and if you like it, you can just rock with that. You can have that in place of me getting a feature, doing a feature for you on your record. I will give you a whole record with a feature on it in place." So I'm like, "Yeah, shoot it." So I can recall him sending me the song and me playing it on the big speakers, and now I'm playing this record, and now I'm crying. I got snot coming out my nose, tears coming out. I'm in this room by myself playing this record. I guess to him, it's taking too long to call back to tell him if I fuck with it or not. And he FaceTimed me. And my first mind was something just told me, "Nah, don't do it." And I just answered like how I was. I'm like, "Thank you, cuz I love you, neighbor." He like, and that nigga just, he tried to act like he didn't see my face and all. He like, "You fuck with that SPI? You know how calm he be. You fuck with that?" Right. I'm like, "Yeah." And like, "All right, you can have that." He like, "If you want," he said, "I'll get the instrumental and send it to you." He was like, "If you want, you can take that's Bino on the hook. You can take him off. But I fuck with Bino, you know, woo. I'm like, "No, I ain't gonna take him off. That shit hard." So I told all that many details of the story to say this. The record he gave me was entitled Count on You. He was alive. We was going to do a video with this and do the whole shebang. And he passed. And the message got so much deeper of, I know I can count on you. You, like, you, out of all the people, we see how he had access to. We see the beautiful music he done alongside John Legend and all the big body of work he compiled with Jay Stone, Pac-Man, so many others, Meek Mill, what's the nigga from Harlem, from New York? Dave East. Yeah. He got Jay-Z and
Dr. Dre. Well, I don't know when that was made, but you heard that new Dr. Dre cut he got?
Yeah. And then as he was preparing his victory lap, preparing the most prolific nigga we've met, the most prolific nigga was preparing his victory lap. He said, "SPI, I know y'all don't get it. You know, before Christ laid down, the niggas who was right there with him didn't quite get it. They didn't get it. Look, the nigga is preparing the victory lap. What the fuck is a victory lap?" And right before he lay down, he tell me, I know I could count on you. Remember you asked me why was I sticking to the script when it wasn't?
Right.
Perhaps because when the Keyway Christ was going to transition, he needed to know who he could count on. He needed to look back over a whole period of time and see somebody who stayed solid. And he passed that baton to me. But I say that to say this. The record, Racks in the Middle, it was released, but it hadn't sunk in.
Right.
And then when he passed, you know, it was everywhere. You was hearing it all day. And I got that moment to share on that record when he say, we don't wipe them, no. Nigga, like, don't nobody know. Like, yeah, we don't wipe them, no.
Right.
I cherish
you
that
felt
moment
that.
because I almost wiped him.
Right.
He had already wrote, that was a record that was laid, recorded, mixed. It was done. I didn't inspire that line or nothing.
Right.
But as odd as that line is, my nigga, what gangster rapper at the height of his shit think it's fly to say we don't wipe our tears? That's being in touch with the reality that it's hard to describe. Nigga, while I'm making sure, fuck it, I'm gonna show my transparency of this boohoo cry. There's some shit he done laid on one of his most influential records to profess who he is. We don't wipe him, no. He didn't know that he's gonna have an encounter with me. I didn't realize he had said that. But we are kind. When it's time to let him go, we don't wipe him, though. Neighborhood to the neighborhood. I appreciate you for having me on here, Lou.
Spider
I'm
Low.
horsed in the motherfucker.
Spider Low. Hey, boy. Hey, incredible, man. Thank you. And we going to do it again soon, man. But thank you, bro. You know what I mean? It was epic, homie. Epic.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you. You talking about love you too, nigga. Love you too, nigga. Man, you a pioneer of this shit. In my sense, the masses might not know, nigga. And to see your growth, you can see it's fly, my nigga.
Thank you,
Appreciate
bro.
it.
Thank you, bro. Love you, bro. And we're going to go out of here
too.
with this, man. Neighborhood Nip, R.I.P., man. Spider Low.
Generation, Pac was highly intelligent. But in our culture, street culture, especially his generation, intelligence was viewed as a form of weakness. How do you get the people that's really affected by, you know, what we trying to solve, involved?
Yeah. Family broken, so I stand with my niggas. Showed up to every shootout, but I ran for my feelings. No time for those, I got a plan to get millions. Whoever don't agree, I see you back at the buildings. That's why I never let y'all act like a victim. That's why I never let y'all kill my ambition. You wasn't built for the mission. Park my cutlass in the back of the village. Remember Tony started washing them dishes. It was all a decision. Fast died, he took a part of me with him. Heart broken like my artery missing. Fuck all of you niggas. Team broke, they can't harvest you, nigga. Swore shit, it got a heart to it, nigga.
I used to know you were gon' fold 'em. I used to know that I could count on you. All that pressure they bestowed on. Pray my son never face what I go through. Yeah. Get it, don't wear the crown right. And if it be feeling like what it sound like. Now my life was a struggle and it get worse. I ain't complain about it. I just can't never feel the same about it. My life built on damage, can't understand it, can't call family, no. Got crossed by my closest, I ain't gon' show too much emotion, no. My little one call my phone, I pick her right away. I know I'm living wrong, but it's the right way. I was too busy trying to get heavy, I was lightweight. A lot of niggas that came in with me ain't on my side today. I been trying to live with some of these songs in case I die today. Every time I need something lean on, I drink that spot away. So it don't feel how it feels to me. Cause I've been through it and it did what it did to me. I trusted you and that was big for me. That's my little partner, you do that big for me. And I ain't never jumped in my feelings out here. You for nothing when I fold 'em. I used to know that I could count on you. All that pressure they bestowed on. Pray my son never face what I go through. And a nigga to get it, don't wear the crown right. And if it be feeling like what it sound like. Now my life was a struggle and it get worse, I ain't complain about it. I just can't never feel the same about it.
Mathematical mode, marathon and making moves taken. The heartbreaking news made major breaking news. Nephews, nieces, siblings, seeds, stay confused. Waking up shaking, aching, praying that it's April Fool's. Chosen child from the now down, stakes is huge. Snakes and fakes straddling the gate, it's too late to choose. Through violent visions gave victory, paid your dues. Motivated, demonstrated, elevated views. Truths don't die, we multiply. I ain't make the rules. Self-medicate, meditate, and celebrate the blues. Neighborhood, roller coaster, you can take the cruise, I'm good. Blue laces, suede Puma's favorite shoes. Jesus to the generations, you never save me on my babies. Most beautiful gift Puto ever gave me. For such a precious life, who decides price? I couldn't feel the slide twice, cause they crucified Christ.
I used to know that I could count on you. All that pressure they bestowed on me. Pray my son never face what I go through. Yeah. Nigga, get it, don't wear the crown right. And every day been feeling like what it sound like. Now my life was a struggle and it get worse, I ain't complain about it. I just can't never feel the same about it. My life built on damage, can't understand it, can't call family, no. Got crossed by my closest, I ain't gon' show too much emotion, no. My little one call my phone, I pick her right away. I know I'm living wrong if it's the right way. I was too busy trying to get heavy, I was lightweight. A lot of niggas that came in with me ain't on my side today. I been trying to leave with some of these songs in case I die today. Every time I need something lean on, I drink that spot away. So it don't feel how it feels to me. Cause I've been through it and it did what it did to me. I trusted you and that was big for me. It's my little partner, you do that big for me. And I ain't never jumped in my feelings out here. I used to know that I could count on you. All that pressure they bestowed on me. Pray my son never face what I go through. And a nigga to get it, don't wear the crown right. And every day been feeling like what it sound like. Now my life was a struggle and it get worse, I ain't complain about it. I just can't never feel the same about it.
I'm out here in the A with it, fuck with my niggas. Thank you, this Hitman West shit. I'm gonna be the spokesperson for this whole Hitman West shit. Y'all know what it is, my nigga. I'm the new voice of the West. A&B, Slaughter Boys, all money in. And that's what it is.